Minority Whip Steve Scalise, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. And this is not the most important issue of the day, but it is kind of emblematic of how this COVID crisis is still being moved to keep the people out of their own house, which is the Capitol. Congressman Scalise, I said that they would close the Capitol forever if they could, and this is just kind of more nonsense.
Yeah, Laura, it's good to be with you. And think about this. I mean, they still can't let go of the power. They want to control people's lives. Weeks ago, the United States Senate unanimously passed a resolution to say open up the Capitol. Imagine that's every Republican, every Democrat in the Senate saying let's open up the Capitol. Pelosi doesn't want to let go of the power. And so she has still held it shut down. Even in a few weeks, they're only going to have a staggered opening when everybody's reopening. Look at all the football games leading up to the Super Bowl. You had over 70,000 people in arenas. By the way, Republican state, Democrat state, without masks. And yet they still want to keep things closed in D.C. It's time to open up the people's house, let the public back in.
Time to get rid of the masks on planes and keep extending that as well. They just want to keep this state of emergency. And now they're saying, well, people aren't going to get their Medicaid checks. And the answer to that, Congressman Jordan, is right. It's time to go back to work. I mean, there's a big article in the Washington Post tonight about, well, 16 million people are going to lose their pandemic Medicaid checks. But it was only supposed to be during the pandemic, correct?
Right. Right. No, this is just one more example of how out of touch the Democrats are with middle America. I mean, think about, Laura, they defunded the police, they've opened the border, they've closed schools, they've canceled pipelines, and now that they've made gas $5 a gallon, what do? They tell us all to go buy a Tesla. I mean, this is how out of touch they are with normal Americans. Out here where I'm from, in the Midwest, I mean, people who work plant crops in the fields, who work third shift, who build homes, they drive pickup trucks, they don't drive Teslas. I mean, this is how out of touch they are, and Steve is exactly right. It's all political. It was interesting. They took away the mask mandate for the House of Representatives the day before Joe Biden gave the State of the Union, and they're supposed to fully open up the Capitol on Labor Day, right at the kickoff of the traditional campaign season. Shows it's all political.
Now, gentlemen, I want to turn to this issue of proxy voting, which is remote voting in Congress. The fact that Congress isn't showing up to vote is stunning. According to the Ripon Society, the top abusers, meaning people staying at home and voting, were all Democrats. Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, Congressman Al Lawson didn't vote in person even one time last year. And according to the LA Times, California Congressman Ro Khanna used proxy voting while sitting in a car in the Capitol parking lot doing an online interview about his new book. I mean, he wants remote voting, by the way, to be permanent. Gentlemen, how many times have you voted remotely? Scalise, how many times?
Zero, Laura. We need to end this, make Congress work again, make everybody show up for work again. As Jordan said, they're doing it all across the country. Congress needs to lead the way, not follow and be the very last to do it.
Oh, Congressman Jordan, have you voted by proxy, you lazy thing, you?
No, I haven't. And the folks I get the privilege of representing, they have to show up for work. Farmers have to get out in the field. Manufacturers have to go work first shift, second shift, third shift. This is the part that drives Americans crazy. It is wrong. Democrats have closed the Capitol, allowed proxy voting, kicked Republicans off committee, won't let Republicans serve on a select committee for the first time in history, trying to end the Electoral College, trying to end the filibuster, trying to pack the court. And they have the nerve to say that it's Republicans and Donald Trump who are a threat to democracy. Give me a stinking break. People are so sick of their baloney. That's why I think a big change is coming this fall.
Well, Vladimir Putin's the one who caused the proxy voting. You have to understand that, Congressman Scalise. It's Putin's fault that no one's voting in person. Now, I want to shift to something Pelosi said today about Ukraine relief. Watch.
Right now, our focus is on Ukraine. Our $13.6 billion for humanitarian assistance, defense, military assistance, as well as economic assistance. This is really important that we get that out right away.
Congressman Scalise, it took a matter of weeks to send $13.6 billion, our money, to Ukraine, but more than 4 months to agree to that second round of stimulus checks for Americans. Also, the $4 billion for that border wall. Remember how long it took to get that money? What message does this send to the country about Congress's priorities? They never seem to be at home.
Well, yeah, and when you want to look at priorities, I mean, President Biden's still dithering on how to get the relief to the people of Ukraine in the middle of this. I mean, they asked for surface-to-air missiles months ago, before Russia even invaded. That would have saved a lot of lives if they had those missiles back a few weeks ago before Putin invaded. They're trying to get the MiGs right now, and Biden won't work with Poland and other NATO countries in Eastern Europe to help get MiGs in, for goodness sake. So Zelensky is going to be on a call with us in 2 days. You know, look, this guy's been a hero. The people of Ukraine are heroes, but there's a brutal genocide going on, and they're trying to figure out whether or not they're going to offend Putin still. And yet Biden's out there, look, he could open up the spigots tomorrow for American energy and undermine Putin's leverage on oil and gas. He won't do it. He's begging other dictators. He loves getting oil from dictators, whether it's Putin, Iran, Venezuela. Stop dealing with dictators and just look what's beneath our feet. Open up American energy. We could lower gas prices tomorrow and take money out of Putin's pocket so he won't have the ability to fund this war.
Well, Liz Cheney tonight, Congressman Jordan, held a really big Beltway fundraiser for her House race. And now the AP is reporting that anti-Trump Republicans are preparing for presidential runs. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan planning trips to Iowa and New Hampshire. Adam Kinzinger considering a rough timeline for I'm just laughing through this, for a potential presidential announcement, and lollipops grow on trees. All right. And allies of Cheney are openly talking her up for White House prospects. What? I don't even want to read the rest of this. Congressman Jordan, what is this? What is this?
Well, Lori, you and I know, and Steve as well, that I think President Trump is going to run. He hasn't announced for sure, but I think he's going to run. And none of those, you think Larry Hogan's going to beat President Trump in a primary? You think Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, you think anybody's going to beat him in a primary? I don't see anyone beating him in the Republican primary. More importantly, I don't see anyone beating him in the general election in 2024. I want him to run. I hope he runs, because he has proven that he can go to the swamp, do what he said he'd do, get things done for we the people, not for the swamp, but for the American people, and he did it with everyone in that town against him. I want that kind of guy back in the Oval Office, particularly now when we see that the Biden administration hasn't done one thing right in the 14 months that they've run the government.
Congressman, so good to see both of you tonight. Thanks for joining us.